From the Keaney Gymnasium on the campus of the University of Rhode Island, tonight in Kingston, Rhode Island, it's Division II Girls Volleyball Semifinal between Exeter-West Greenwich and East Greenwich. I'm Joe Koss alongside my broadcast partner for tonight's festivities, Neil Nachbar. And Neil, you're an expert in the volleyball community in Rhode Island as a coach of the Tolman boys team and an official. What are we going to see in this matchup tonight?
Well, great to be with you again tonight, Joe. We're going to see a very evenly played match, I believe. These two teams split their season series. They both tied for first along with Cranston-West, so it was a three-way tie for first during the season. On September 12th, East Greenwich swept Exeter 3-1. I'm sorry, didn't sweep them. They won 3-1. Later in the season, October 9th, Exeter-West Greenwich returned the favorite. They beat East Greenwich 3-0. So this is the rubber match tonight. Could go either way. These are two talented teams, and I think we're in for a good match.
So that's the tail of the tape as we get set to go here in the semifinal matchup for this on the Rhode Island Interscholastic League Network. Getting set to serve this one up on the left of your screen. It's a little bit interesting because we've got both teams wearing black tonight. But if you look closely, the team on the left side of your screen tonight has red numerals trimmed in white. That'll be Exeter-West Greenwich. And on the right side of your screen, the black uniforms, white trim and maroon numerals, that will be East Greenwich High School. And so that's how it looks from our vantage point. And starting things off with the first serve of the night, Exeter-West Greenwich. And it'll be Jennifer Donnelly to toss up the first serve to get us underway. So Donnelly puts the ball into play, and you'll notice that Exeter-West Greenwich playing without a libero, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit, but a shot just a little bit long along the front line for East Greenwich, and the opening point will go to EWG. Donnelly again with the serve. Tosses it up, played in the back row by Phoebe Wong, one of the leaders on the team for East Greenwich. Played at the net, tipped over, that time by Jocelyn Harrington. And a beautiful block at the net. Harrington again showing some poise here early on.
East Greenwich defender did a great job of keeping that ball alive by doing a split, but unable to get the ball over the net.
And an ace will be recorded. This time by Jennifer Donnelly. 4 straight points for Jennifer.
Jen Donnelly is coming off a great quarterfinal match where she had 11 kills, 7 aces, and 6 blocks, so she's playing very well right now.
Ball put back into play. Wong plays it up ahead. And a shot fired at the net, taken by Harrington, but couldn't get it over.
There you saw Wong dump the ball over on the second contact. She's got a bag of tricks, and she's not afraid to pull everything out.
Here's Harrington on the far side. An attack that goes just wide. Good eye that time by Stephanie Field, the libero of East Greenwich.
That ball came off like a knuckleball, no topspin on it.
Bumped up by Lauren Homsony. Kept alive over on the East Greenwich side, and an attack by Wiggins. Played back by Hellisted and dumped over the top that time, and another point for Exeter-West Greenwich.
Yep, East Greenwich setter Phoebe Wong was cheating up on defense that time, got caught. Player placed the ball right where the defender normally plays.
Abby Green, one of the captains on the Exeter-West Greenwich team, will now have the honor of the serve. They lead currently right now 4-2 here in the opening stanza of this semifinal matchup in Division II girls volleyball in the state of Rhode Island. And tapped up over the top by number 23, Julia Pelosi, one of 3 sisters on this East Greenwich team. And the attack error will give the point to Exeter-West Greenwich.
That time the ball just caught a piece of the antenna.
Field nearly misplays the serve, and East Greenwich just forced to bump it over lazily. Nice play at the net that time by Julia Pelosi, and it pays off with the point.
Net violation there on Exeter. They can't afford that. They got to stay out of the net, cut down on the errors.
Back and forth here in the early going. Pelosi with the serve, played at the net. The attack by Harrington, but it's kept alive. Now forcing it back over is Wiggins for East Greenwich, and Harrington again. A gentle tip in. Now Wiggins setting up Lauren Duvall, and Duvall will get her first kill of the game.
That's a nice play by Duvall to tip that ball down the line. force the defender to get low and make a nice play.
Serves up for East Greenwich. Ball's put back into play. Harrington again. Swift attack and a block at the net for Harrington. And the block goes down for the point. Harrington on that front line. You could see early on with a 6-4 advantage, she's going to be somebody that East Greenwich is going to have to find an answer for. Nice dig that time by Homsony. Violation on the side of East Greenwich. Right now, things seem to go the way of Exeter-West Greenwich. And well, how do you turn things around if you're East Greenwich?
Yes, East Greenwich has definitely got to start with the passing on serve receive. They're very sloppy on the pass right now. Got to get the ball to Wong so she can set up the offense.
Hit on the far side by Ashley Orwitz for Exeter-West Greenwich. She'll look for it again, but they'll go at Harrington in the middle. It's blocked. Harrington keeps it alive by bumping it up and driven into the far back corner. A beautiful attack that time by Jennifer Donnelly.
That's a great spot. That's tough for anybody to play there. That's deep right side of the court. That's usually going to find an open area.
A pretty shot goes down for the kill for Donnelly. All misplayed by Harrington. And East Greenwich will stop the bleeding. A couple of substitutions being made along the far sideline for Exeter-West Greenwich. And coming into the game is Corin Perry, number 6, and we'll fill in along the back row. That serve just a bit long along the far sideline, and Lauren Duval has the serve error. Harrington from the front row to the back line now tosses up the serve. Far sideline, it's pushed over by Wiggins. At the front line, a beautiful attack again. Jennifer Donnelly very strong on that front row as well.
Well, it's early on, but that certainly was the hit of the match so far. Donnelly crushing that ball.
Here's Harrington again, and she'll get the ace. Well, East Greenwich is going to call a timeout here, 11-5. Exeter-West Greenwich jumped out very quickly to the opening advantage, and it seems as though they've got many different assets and different tools, weapons we'll call them, that they can go to here early on, whether it's front row or going back to their servers.
Yeah, their offense is really in sync now, and it starts with their passing. They're going to doing a good job of keeping the ball alive, getting it to a place where the setter can set up a play. East Greenwich, the other side of the coin here, they're not passing well at all, and then when they have had a pass, Wong has elected to set the ball over, a little bit out of desperation, I think, but they really need to get something going on offense. They've had a few swings on the right side that have not dropped, but they've got to get more attacks. It's tough to win a game if you're just doing free balls and giving the other team easy balls to play.
Let's talk about the fact that we've got this Exeter-West Greenwich team that's not playing with the libero. You normally see that with the player with the different color uniformed out. In this case, Stephanie Field on the right side of your screen for East Greenwich. What's that do to the game, and how does that impact the flow of the game for Exeter-West Greenwich? Yeah,
Coach Bernarczyk has used the libero in past years. This year electing not to use the libero. Instead, he's having more players play all around, front row and back row, occasionally using a player just to sub in for the back row. But, you know, you'll see that on occasion, some teams electing not to go with the libero, and, you know, it's a different strategy. I think he feels comfortable that all of his players are good in all positions, front row and back row.
Ball pinned into play by Olivia Wiggins for East Greenwich. A beautiful block there at the net. The combination of Joya Pelosi, and was it Wong on the far sideline that was there as well?
Yes, that time you had 4 hands crossing the net. That's quite a wall to put up.
Wong now with the serve. Far side, Donnelly. And she'll get a kill, her third of the game. Donnelly off to a strong start.
Yeah, she's definitely going to have to be one of the leaders tonight for Exeter.
Back to serve Ashley Orwitz for the Scarlet Knights. They'll go just long. Back into the game, Laura Homsony for Exeter-West Greenwich, as Orwitz will have a seat after that serve error. And now Field puts the ball into play to Homsony. He'll bump it up. Donnelly now on the near side, fires that attack just long.
They got a perfect pass off that jump serve, but they weren't able to capitalize.
Timing might have been just a bit off. Now Field with the serve. Jump serve puts the ball into play off the net, and it's misplayed. That time the receive and the serve didn't quite have the altitude, and it cost them the second pass.
Yeah, that serve is not coming with a lot of velocity, but it is curving from right to left.
This ball played up off the rafters. It's still alive. Bumped over the net by Donnelly. Pushed up by Field. Now over to the far sideline. Putting a pretty good hit on it was Wiggins. And a violation on the side of Exeter-West Greenwich.
Yeah, that's their second net violation of the night.
12-11. East Greenwich has trailed the entire first set so far. But Donnelly has been the bright spot, and she'll get another kill here. She's been very strong along that front line.
Every time East Greenwich has tried to go on a run, Donnelly's put an end to it.
Donnelly listed as a sophomore middle blocker. Jocelyn Hellisted on the serve, and a successful one at that, 14-11.
There's a case where the setter from East Greenwich, Wong, called help, didn't get any help from her teammates. Ball drops between two players.
Here's Hellisted, bumped up by Field, and another ace.
Serve receive has been hurting East Greenwich so far. The passing has been a little off.
Hellisted puts the ball into play. Played at the net by Phoebe Wong, and she'll tap it over against two defenders.
All right, that's a big play from a short player. She went up there against two players and won what we call a joust.
Well, she wasn't intimidated one bit at all. Both the players and the blockers that she went against had much more height advantage, but she won it with heart. Taps it over now, does Wong. Bumped up over to the far sideline, and it's just forced to be kept in play that time by Abby Green. At the net, ball is kept alive by East Greenwich. Now forced just to push it back over as this set struggling to find some rhythm. There's Donnelly driving it over with an attack and a kill.
Donnelly's been the go-to player in this set. She's delivered almost every single time for Exeter.
A bit of helter-skelter play there for a moment or two. Then Donnelly able to right the ship again as a sophomore doing good things out there for Exeter-West Greenwich. Bumped up by Wong, far side hit. Trying to be kept alive by Pelosi, couldn't happen. And then that hit by Harrington goes just a bit long.
Now with Donnelly in the back row for the next three rotations here for Exeter, we'll see who can set up and start taking some of the offense.
Tough break that time as Wong serves it into the net. And the momentum swings back. 17-13 the score. Exeter-West Greenwich out in front here in the opening set on the Rhode Island Interscholastic League Network, and back-to-back service errors as that one tossed up by Abby Green, one of the captains on this team, into the net. Harrington forced just to bump it over. Wong sets it. Tapped up over the top that time by Duval, and it's effective.
I think if you're East Greenwich, you're happy with the way the game has gone. You've got a close game despite the fact that they really haven't got into a rhythm on offense.
They trail by two. Pelosi puts the ball into play. We've got three Pelosi sisters that compete on this East Greenwich team. Not making it any easier on us, but they'll win the point. Right now, Julia Pelosi serving. She's the oldest of the three sisters at a senior middle blocker, but she will now head for the bench as Stephanie Field comes back into the game after that service error.
East Greenwich made a nice run there. They want to get the serve right back as soon as they can.
All played ahead by Wong, forced over by East Greenwich. The Avengers of East Greenwich, and that one played into the net along the front line by Ashley Orwitz. Orwitz taps it up over, and it goes just long. Good eye that time by Stephanie Field to read that. She was deep in the corner of the court. knew exactly where the out-of-bounds line was and was able to score the point. Bumped up over by Harrington. A little bit too mustard on it and goes a little bit wide. And a much-needed timeout will be called. Exeter-West Greenwich now trailing for the first time in this match, 19-18 here in the opening set, and that momentum swing changed pretty quickly.
Well, Joe, Exeter has scored majority of their points tonight when Donnelly was in the front row, and since she's been in the back row, they've struggled. They're having a hard time finding someone else who can put the ball down here. They need to get her back in the front row and pick up where she left off.
So 19-18. East Greenwich out in front here. This is a semifinal duel for the Rhode Island Interscholastic League. State championship will be played here at the Keaney Gymnasium at the University of Rhode Island on Saturday afternoon. And the winner of this game will take on the winner of the Tolman and Cranston West game. We'll be coming up right after this.
This is such a great venue for volleyball, Joe. We used to have the URI basketball teams play here for many years, and then the Ryan Center was built, and now the basketball teams move over to the new facility, and this is now just a volleyball-only facility.
The court resurfaced within the last year or so. And East Greenwich now trying to put the opening set away. 19-18, they have the advantage. And that serve goes just a bit long for Lauren Duvall. Now here's Harrington. Jacqueline Harrington to toss up the serve, puts it into play. A good play there at the net that time by the combination of Orwitz and Jennifer Donnelly.
Ball was hit into the block, but deflected out of bounds.
Did a nice job on the defensive front, just couldn't get the ball to land inside the bounds of the court. Here's Donnelly along the far side to the outside, hit in a beautifully timed recovery.
Yeah,
this time the block, but comes back with an attack.
That was a tremendous shot. She had to wait a little bit longer than usual for that set and still timed it perfectly and found the court right inside that sideline.
We're knotted at 20. Set number one. Orwitz with the serve. Wong sets it up. And the ball misplayed by Green.
That ball was passed a little bit tight to the net for Wong, and she still managed to do a perfect set.
She has done a nice job. If you watch her on that right side, number 3, for East Greenwich on the right side of your screen, off-balance sets. It's not the first time that she's done that today.
No, she's a special player, that's for sure. Clearly the best setter in Division II.
Dumped up over the top that time by Elise Farnham for East Greenwich. Now they jump out in front, 22-20. Exeter-West Greenwich had led this one early on in the contest by as many as 3 in the opening set as Stephanie Field puts that serve into the top of the net on the right side.
Last time Field served, she was on a roll with her jump serve. That time she was only able to score 1 point on it.
Jocelyn Helliston serves it up. Wong with the set, back behind her. She's looking for Elise Farnham, but a big block on the front row.
Yeah, that's a big point right there. Sometimes a block almost counts as 2 points because it really gives your team a lot of momentum. Looks like we have a timeout by East Greenwich here.
Yeah, East Greenwich is going to go ahead and stop that momentum just as you bring that up. So important. Now, you talk about volleyball and you look at a lot of different things, and you figure those high-flying spikes, the digs, the attacks at the front are what's going to create that momentum. But sometimes a block can do the same thing.
Absolutely. A block, I think, partly because you don't see too many of them, it really can get into the psyche of your opponent. Everything's worth a point in volleyball, but some points are bigger than others. And, a tremendous kill, an ace, and a block is one of the biggest because it really starts getting into the hitter's head. Now, do I hit it differently? Do I go over the block? Do I try to hit it around the block, off the block? It really starts getting the hitter thinking. And as a hitter, you really want to go on instincts. You don't want to start second-guessing yourself, and that's why a block is just so huge in volleyball.
In a late tournament game such as this one, where you're in the semifinal, you're heading up on completing the first set, how important is it for these teams to win the opening stanza?
Well, it really can set the tone for the match. I mean, you do see momentum swing back and forth, but you want to get off to a great start all the time.
Wong able to keep the ball alive, but She couldn't set Pelosi up the way she wanted to in a desperation attempt to bump it into play, and it'll cost them an opportunity. And right now, Exeter-West Greenwich jumps out to a 23-22 advantage here, closing in on the end of the opening set. Ball played at the net, and a net violation be called against Pelosi, I believe, as she ran into the net right below the up judge.
East Greenwich had played a pretty clean match to this point, but they got called on that one.
Hellisted puts the ball into play with an ace, and it's a 25-22 victory for Exeter-West Greenwich, and they will come back after going down midway through the first set to take the victory in the opening set, and now they've got the momentum heading into set number 2.
Exeter came up with a couple of great clutch plays there. You saw the big block that we mentioned earlier, and then we follow it up with an ace there. I mean, that's really playing well under pressure, and that's what you need to do when you get to the semifinals. These players have trained all year for this moment, and so you saw an example there where Exeter came through under pressure.
So Exeter-West Greenwich takes the victory in set number 1, 25-22, and now they lead 1-0 in the semifinal matchup. We'll be back with more semifinal of girls volleyball next on the Rhode Island Interscholastic League Network. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's perfect. Thank you, guys. And welcome back to the Keaney Gymnasium on the campus of the University of Rhode Island in Kingston, Rhode Island. Joe Koss alongside with Neil Nachbar bringing you semifinal action in girls volleyball Division II on the Rhode Island Interscholastic League Network. Exeter-West Greenwich taking the opening set by a score of 25-22, and they lead overall 1-0 here in the opening set, and a set that was very competitive, Neil. It went back and forth. We saw momentum swings, and we saw a couple of lead changes as well. East Greenwich looked as though midway through the set that they were just going to be able to take it and run away with it. But what was it in the determination of Exeter-West Greenwich that allowed them to claw back into the contest?
Well, I think one of the keys is they were able to get Donnelly back in the front row where she did so much damage earlier in the set. And then down the stretch, getting that block, that double block, and also the ace to end it. Just clutch play by Exeter. They really pulled it out when it counted. You know, you got to give East Greenwich credit. They did hang in there, went back and forth. They were able to go on a run when Donnelly was in the back row, and then Exeter just pulled it out in the end.
If you're just joining us, both teams dressed in black tonight. The ones with maroon on the left side of the screen, that's East Greenwich. On the right side of the screen, Exeter-West Greenwich. They've got the black uniforms with red numerals. If you're just joining us, beautiful play at the net, and a nice gentle tap by Jacqueline Harrington to push that attack over, timed it perfectly, and got the kill.
You know, Joe, both of these teams had some question marks headed into the season, so for them to make it to the semifinals is a tremendous accomplishment as it is. You had East Greenwich, who was moving down from Division I. You weren't sure exactly how they would do in Division II, but they've had a great season. And then Exeter graduated 4 first-team All-Division players last year, including the Player of the Year, Taylor Maytook.
Abby Green, her first serve goes up for an ace. Now this one put into play. Harrington with a swing over the top, and field can't handle it, and Harrington so dominating along that front row.
Yeah, that's a great swing. She got some nice top spin by snapping her wrist over the top of the ball.
And another ace by Green as Field just mistimed that one as the ball hit at her feet.
Yeah, you saw East Greenwich looked a little hesitant there, a little reluctant to pass that ball.
And the point being awarded to East Greenwich. So they're able to break the streak 4-1 now, the advantage for Exeter-West Greenwich. And we saw that in the opening set as well.
East Greenwich smartly made an adjustment on their serve receive, pulling a player back to help out, and it paid dividends.
Over to the far side, Green trying to put a swing on it, but didn't quite have it on that one, and she'll go into the net for the error.
Now, when your serve receive's not working, sometimes you need to try something, and that was a smart play to have someone who wasn't passing and put them in a passing situation.
Harrington with a powerful attack up over the top, gets the tip and the drop as it went off the fingertips of Joya Pelosi along the front row, and nobody could scramble in time to keep the ball from hitting the hardwood.
Exeter hitting a high percentage so far tonight.
Yes, they are indeed. Joya Pelosi, look at the recovery, though, and you have to appreciate that. Just a moment ago, tips the ball, it goes to the ground. That time, it wasn't necessarily the most graceful attack, but it was effective, and she scores.
She actually started that attack with her back to the net, managed to turn around in the air and get the ball to drop.
It worked, though. 5-3. Exeter-West Greenwich out in front. And that ball misplayed along the near sideline that time by Ashley Orwitz, and nobody could scramble to get underneath it. Not a very good set that time.
No, there was some confusion there. They got to get on the same page.
And a lazy serve by Lauren Duval. Did not have her motion or mechanics correct. You could see as she swung it. You saw as soon as she released that serve, it wasn't going to have the trajectory she was looking for, and it hits the net. But another ace. Field's having a tough time over there in the libero spot right now. A little bit of nerves, I think, for East Greenwich.
She is, and Exeter recognizes that, and they're purposely trying to pick on her by getting that ball in her direction.
Yeah, and she had just come back into the game. She had rotated out as a libero, as Harrington will serve 2 in a row.
Well, that time you saw Exeter go to the opposite corner and find daylight, and that forces East Greenwich to call a timeout.
Yeah, East Greenwich has to slow things down here a little bit. Now, this is a second set in a row. They've gone down early on. The opening stanza, they went down as many as 3 points. Now they're down by 4 with a score of 8-4. If you're in the huddle and you're coaching this team right now, how exactly do you get your team to do what they did in the first set, but this time maintain that lead right to the end?
Well, this set is starting very similar to the first set, where most of the errors are being made on serve receive. And really the mistakes that are happening are more mental than physical. It's just a matter of making up your mind that you're going to go for the ball and you're not going to let it drop. We've seen several balls here that not necessarily served hard, but well placed between players or between a player and the sideline. And you just see Exeter hoping that it goes out, and instead of just being aggressive and playing the ball, and they just need to change that mindset.
And how do you do that? How do you change that mindset when you're inside that huddle as a coach? What can you say to help motivate your players to do that?
Well, you got to make it clear. This is win or go home. You know, there's a sense of urgency, so you've got to go after every ball. There is no tomorrow, and that means you've got to communicate as a team, work together, and just be aggressive. Go for the ball no matter what it takes. Sometimes you may even have to hit the floor, but that's okay. I mean, you've got to go for it.
So we'll see if they could bring that extra bit of intensity. East Greenwich trying to claw their way back into this one. They trail overall 1-0 after dropping the opening set. Here's Harrington at serve 2 straight. Make it 3.
Well, you notice coming out of the timeout, East Greenwich pulled back Field out of the serve receive, so she's along the end line, but it still didn't work.
Hopefully it doesn't damper her confidence to the point where she loses her effectiveness throughout the game when you make a change like that.
Yeah, she's got to shake it off and get her mind back into the game.
But not only her. East Greenwich right now looking a little bit, helter-skelter, a little back on their heels right now.
Yeah, that time an easy ball coming over, landed right between all 6 players.
Harrington to serve again. Pushed over by Pelosi. That one will fall in, and a lucky shot for East Greenwich that I think could turn the tide and get them back into set number 2.
Yeah, they needed something like that. That was not a hard-driven ball, but it was well placed.
Ball put back into play. Harrington taps it up now, driven on the near side, that time by Helliston. Harrington again with the bump. And again in the middle, Donnelly this time. And they're going to say it went out of bounds.
Looked like there was some question there whether it went off the net or went off the block, but referees decided that it did not touch the block.
Very tight. Now Donnelly on the near side of your screen, and a nice dig that time brought up by Duval. Played back by Wong just to keep it alive on the third hit. Donnelly again at the net, and a beautiful attack goes down for the kill.
East Greenwich made a great play to keep that ball alive before it reached the stands, but then unable to come up with the block or the dig.
Senior outside hitter Ashley Orowitz on the serve. From the back row, that hit by Wiggins. That one goes long.
I like that decision on the back row attack. Things weren't working. Try something different. The back row attack, Exeter has not seen it yet to this point, so I think that was a good decision.
And it was effective. You could see on that play, Exeter-West Greenwich just a step off. Stephanie Field didn't like the toss in the first for her jump serve. Now she has a running jump serve that was very good early on in the first set. Harrington forced to punch it over just to keep it alive. Now Wong playing it at the net. Couldn't quite have it. It's tossed over by Julia Pelosi. Now near sideline Green. Taps it over and for the kill.
Again, East Greenwich doing a good job of keeping the ball alive, but not able to come up with the defensive play off of Exeter's attack.
Dumped up over the top that time by Wiggins. Kept alive by Helliston. Pushed over the top near sideline by Green. Back row attack again by Duval. Helliston looking for Green. Can't happen. Helliston again. Bumps it up Green. Into the net.
This might be the break that East Greenwich has been hoping for right here. They really need to get things going, get on a run.
Elise Farnham to serve now for East Greenwich. They're down 12-8. Farnham keeps the ball alive. Wong with the attack. Farnham taps it back over. Goes to the back row, but it goes long.
East Greenwich actually tried to play that ball, but luckily they did not make contact because that ball was on its way out.
Boy, even Elise Farnham thought that that was in. It was that close. She wasn't sure she had the serve again. They'll toss the ball her direction and get it underway. Green back taps it. Now bumped over there by Donnelly, and it goes out of bounds.
Exeter making a series of unforced errors here.
Helliston looking near side Green. Kept alive by Field. Starting to get her flow back, and at the net, a beautiful block by Jennifer Donnelly. Didn't have the best of position, but was able to reach up there with that left hand and tap it back over.
Yeah, that was nice timing there. She saw that the player was going up, wasn't going to set it. She was going to hit it over. Perfectly timed.
Field bumps it backwards, and now Farnham forced to send it and just keep it alive, and it goes right to the bench. And the coach of Exeter-West Greenwich. Beautiful play at the net again. The net play in that front row for Exeter-West Greenwich has seemed to be the difference.
Yeah, their offense is far outplaying East Greenwich's defense.
Donnelly puts the ball into play. Now Wong setting up to the far sideline, looking for Wiggins, but should go at Farnham as it went back. Green bumps it up to keep it alive. Now a drive by Harrington, dug by Field, but she couldn't quite get it up high enough as she was chasing the ball back towards the end line.
She was well positioned there, but she just couldn't get enough air under the ball.
Here's Donnelly. Wiggins to Wong. Wong likes that gentle attack to try to put the ball into play and throw the defense out of sorts. She's used that a couple of times by just dumping it up over the net in the second hit.
Yeah, East Greenwich is having trouble tonight with their front row attack, so Wong has tried a number of different things to get things going. She's tried dumping the ball over on the second ball. She's tried some back row sets, looking for anything that will work.
Harrington just passed the line, and Field forced to play it over, and it works effectively. That time a diving dig and it's played off the hand of Green and out of play.
A little bit lucky that time. Anytime you pass the ball over the net, usually bad things happen. That ball deflecting off an Exeter player.
That serve just wide by Wong. And Exeter-West Greenwich will have the serve, a 17-12 advantage, leading overall 1-0. Serve tossed up by Green. Excuse me, Perry, who's into the game now. Bumped by Donnelly. Hellisted looking for Harrington. Good play at the net, the defense side for East Greenwich. Bumped up by Wong. Wiggins now forces it over the top for the kill. Hellisted couldn't quite get under that one. Goes off her hands without a play.
That was a nice swing that time by the lefty.
Back row, Julia Pelosi. A daring play that time by Jennifer Donnelly. I'll give her a 10 because she stuck the landing on that one. That was good.
Ball bouncing right through her legs there, Joe.
And Abby Green's giving her a hard time about it. She's trying to duplicate that move. Wong over to the far side, wanted Wiggins. Couldn't quite get the steam on it, though. And it's bumped into play. That time Harrington pushes it up over the top. Dug up by Wiggins. Far sideline, the attack by Duval. Over the top for Green. Now Hellisted puts it over to Harrington. An attack that goes long. They're calling for the tip for Exeter-West Greenwich, and they got it.
Well, we had that time one linesperson calling a touch and the other lineperson not calling the touch. Referee Bonnie Clayton siding with the official that called the touch.
Well, I'm glad they had to make that call.
That is one of the most difficult calls to make right there, especially when it just nicks the block. It's hard to see whether it touched the block, did it touch the net, did it touch anything? Very difficult, especially when that ball is moving fast.
Well, the other thing, too, is the fact that you don't always have the ball change direction significantly. And when that doesn't happen, sometimes it's hard to tell if there was any contact.
That's correct. You could just get that just by the fingertips. You're not necessarily going to see a change in the direction. With the solid white ball, it's even more difficult than a multicolored ball because you can't see the spin of the ball.
You're listening to Neil Nachbar, one of the coaches of the boys team at Tolman High School. He's also an official, so we've got the proper person and the right source to provide the expertise on how to make these calls along the sidelines. But right now he's joining us here on the Rhode Island Interscholastic League Network. This one in the second set of the semifinals in girls volleyball. Exeter-West Greenwich, a 19-13 advantage here in set number 2 after taking the opening set 25-22. Corinne Perret having the serve for Exeter-West Greenwich, and will return to competition. Played up by Farnham. Near sideline, Julia Pelosi in for the kill.
Well, East Greenwich is now out of timeout, so if they're going to get back into this game, they're going to have to figure it out right here on the court.
Let's see who steps up to be the leader. Corey Perrin back into the contest as Green will go ahead and have a seat. And that ball misplayed at the net. They're going to call a net violation on East Greenwich.
Yeah, it looked like she just got it on the follow-through with her hit. That's unfortunate. She really timed it well, but just followed through a little bit too much.
Harrington serving into the net, 20-15. Advantage, Exeter-West Greenwich on the right side of your screen. Elise Farnham. Wiggins with the attack, played by Green. Back row bump that time by Harrington. And it's out of play by Farnham on the far side.
East Greenwich there with a prime opportunity to put away an overpass, a mistake by Exeter, but they got away with it.
Ashley Orwitz to serve, 21-15. Ball in play. Wong looking far side. Farnham with the attack. Back row dig. Brought up by Harrington. Donnelly pushes it over on the second hit. Wong now on the second hit. Bumped up by Donnelly. Green keeps it alive in field. Joya Pelosi dug back row. Near side Green. Not enough. Pushed over by Donnelly, and it's double hit that time by Joya Pelosi. She's called for a carry. 22-15.
Well, that was the volley of the match right there. Back and forth. Good defense by both teams.
Wong bumps it over on the second hit. Donnelly with a dominating swing. Not enough. She'll try again. And it's good. Off the hand of Fields. Donnelly with another kill. The offensive leader so far for Exeter-West Greenwich. They lead 23-15.
Yeah, she's done a lot of damage in this match. East Greenwich having their hands full with her.
Wong bumps it up for Joya Pelosi, and a beautiful block in the combination of Jennifer Donnelly and Abby Green.
They formed a wall there, shoulder to shoulder, 4 hands crossing the net.
Set point, 24-15. Duvall bumps it up, played back by Wiggins and over by Farnham. Pushed up by Green, and a kill. Beautiful pass that time, Donnelly to Green. And Green was able to adjust, fire it over off the hands of Field, and set number 2 will go 25-15 in favor of Exeter-West Greenwich. And just that quickly, they now go up 2-1, 2-0 rather, I should say.
You saw there the last few points of that match. Exeter really asserting themselves. Again, getting good swings, well placed, and East Greenwich just having a hard time coming up with those digs when they need to.
So set number 2 into the record books. 25-15 overall. Exeter-West Greenwich leading 2-0 on the Rhode Island Interscholastic League Network. Well, back here at the Keaney Gymnasium at the University of Rhode Island in Kingston, Rhode Island. Joe Koss alongside Neil Nachbar for the semifinal matchup in girls volleyball. Division II action tonight. Exeter-West Greenwich leading 2-0 after taking the first 2 sets, 25-22 and 25-15. And East Greenwich now down 2-0. You don't have any more room for error right now. How do they claw their way back into it?
Well, as a coach, I've been in this situation a few times, and when you're down 0-2, you really can't think about the mountain that you need to climb. You really got to think, all right, at this point in the match, down 0-2, nobody's expecting us to make that much of a comeback and win. So you really have to think of it as the pressure is off now. The pressure is on the team that's up to close it out. So you just got to chip away 1 point at a time. Don't think about that you need to still win 3 sets. Just focus on the point at hand.
Exeter-West Greenwich on the left side of your screen. East Greenwich on the right side of your screen. And the serve to be thrown up by Jennifer Donnelly, and she's been tremendous. The offensive leader, along with Harrington. Can't count out Harrington along the front row as well for Exeter-West Greenwich. Hellisted bumps it over for Harrington, and a gentle attack, but it goes over for the kill.
Yeah, it's clear that East Greenwich is not going to win the battle at the net in this match. So what they need to do is they need to outpass and outserve and do the little things better than Exeter.
Jennifer Donnelly opening up with the serve, played by Field. Now Wong playing it at the net, being aggressive, and we've seen that, and it worked that time.
Yeah, that's the second time this match that we saw the shorter player Wong win the joust at the net.
Wong, Donnelly. bumps it up. Harrington had to take a step back. Tipped up by Field. Trying to be pushed over by Harrington, but it's kept alive. Field bumps it over to Wiggins. Wiggins keeps it alive, and it's played back, that time by Laura Homsony. Over to the far sideline, Green. Trying to drive it in for the kill, no good. Near sideline attack. Goes out of play. The attack by Duval just a bit wide.
Nice attempt there to go line. Just missed by a bit.
Two to nothing, Exeter-West Greenwich on top. And that one served into the net.
You'll take those points anytime you can, but East Greenwich should start to they've got to get on a roll here.
Now they'll correct the scoreboard and even it at 2. Harrington, an attack error into the net.
Just tried to do a little bit too much with that ball.
Harrington again. That one hit deep, played up by Wong. Played at the net. Pelosi, a double hit.
Pelosi just a little bit late on her jump. She was on her way down when the ball contacted her.
Abby Green on the serve. Wong plays it up over to the near sideline looking for Wiggins. Pushes it over, dug up by Green. At the net, Helliston narrowly hit it twice. Now Wiggins looking near side Duval, and it's blocked by Harrington and Helliston.
Hey, East Greenwich not being able to take a good approach on that attempt.
Duval taps it over. Dug up by Donnelly, far side. Orwitz taps it over the top. And Joya Pelosi struggling on that front line.
East Greenwich has really got to cut down on the errors here. They're going to come back and win this.
Amber Worthen on the serve that time. Haven't talked about Amber all that much today.
Well, she finds the opening there right inside the end line, and if you're East Greenwich, you cannot allow that to happen. If that ball's anywhere close to the line, you've got to go after it.
Far sideline, Joya Pelosi is blocked by the combination of Harrington and Orwitz on the far side.
This block might start getting in the heads of East Greenwich players here.
Won't be long before a timeout will be called. Orwitz, a front row attack. Drops over the top of the net for the tip-in. And the whistle blows for the substitution along the front line. Number 20 coming into the game for the first time, Kristen Carasoto to join the front row to try to change things up for East Greenwich. That'll go in for an ace. A great serving string right now and a run going by Amber Worthen, doing an excellent job.
Yeah, East Greenwich losing their composure here. I think a timeout would serve them well.
They're down 9-3 into the third and what could be final set. Field, an attack error into the top of the net, and we haven't seen that timeout yet as they trail by 7.
Oh, when you're setting the libero, that is a little bit of a desperation move there.
Wong looking to set Duval. Harrington blocks it at the net, keep it alive. That time Harrington off her fingertips. Couldn't keep that one in front of her. And it's driven home, and finally the bleeding stops 10-4. East Greenwich and Duval will have the opportunity to try to right the ship. That one right on the line, but the officials down the line judge call it out of bounds.
Boy, that ball must have missed by an inch or two. Very close.
He is right on top of it down there on the far corner. Here's Harrington. Puts the ball into play. Wong looking for Wiggins. And a net violation called against Jennifer Donnelly.
Looked like both sides were in the net, but Exeter touched the net first, so it was called on them.
Wiggins on the serve, bumped up by Harrington. Far sideline, Donnelly driving it in. And she gets a kill.
I love that line shot by Donnelly. That's going to find the court more times than not.
And she has a precise attack as well.
She does. She gets a great snap with her wrist.
Now 12-5, Exeter-West Greenwich out in front, set 3. Wiggins, back row attack goes long.
And you're seeing East Greenwich do a lot of back row attacks tonight because their front row just has not come through.
When you have Green and Donley and Harrington that can play that front row for Exeter-West Greenwich, you see a lot of that. Jennifer Donley, another block.
Exeter just dominating the net.
And there's that timeout. Took a lot longer to call that timeout than I thought.
Yeah, that may be a little bit too late for East Greenwich. They've got a deep hole to climb out of now, and they're really struggling. Exeter is doing damage at the net both on offense and defense. They're swinging away without fear, and then defensively they're putting up a big wall for those East Greenwich hitters.
The biggest thing right now when you look at Exeter-West Greenwich might be the fact that they just have that much confidence at this point, and the fact that nothing they're doing is failing. Everything is working.
Yeah, I think they are playing with confidence. This is a team who, they won it last year. They're the defending champions, and although not all these players were necessarily on the court, they were part of the team. So they went through that experience, and I think that you can see that they feel much more comfortable out there. Even before the match, they looked very loose compared to East Greenwich. East Greenwich was very serious. They had their game faces on. You saw Coach Bernardzek joking with his players before the match, and they just looked very calm.
Ashley Orwitz, and I was just going to say that she's hoping to lead her team up to number 25, but that serve goes long, and the service error will turn things back now for Stephanie Field.
We see that so many times coming out of a timeout where that first serve misses.
But the second is good for Field.
Well, if Field can get on a roll with her serve like she did in the first set, that will help a lot.
And they're going to need it. They need to put the stop on the Exeter-West Greenwich momentum right now if they want a chance to play for the championship on Saturday. At the net, Donley with another kill.
Net violation called on East Greenwich, but that ball would have dropped anyway. Field was serving well there, but they weren't able to keep it going.
Amber Worthen back into the contest as Hellisted will offer up the serve. Bumped up by Wiggins, now looking for Joya Pelosi on the near side, and a kill. It was Julia Pelosi, rather, and she'll get the kill.
Yeah, that was a great swing by Pelosi. She took a nice approach, hit that ball deep angle. They need more of that.
Farnham with the serve. Donley near side. Can't get it up over the net, and good play at the net by Duval.
Joe, I don't think I've seen this many lefties in one match.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Donley again with that left-handed swing. Dug up by Field for Wong. Pushes it over. Now Worthen setting Donley. Kill.
Yeah, one reason why Wong's not able to get that setter dump to drop is because Exeter is so familiar with how she plays. They've seen her twice during the season. They saw her during a mid-season tournament, and then, of course, they had a look at her last year as well.
Harrington, an off-balance attack, allows Wong to try to set the offense for Duval, and it's blocked at the net by Worthen. (17-9). Exeter-West Greenwich walking away with this. Field plays it for Wong, off balance. Duval goes long. No tip there. The point goes to Exeter-West Greenwich.
Now, Exeter does have a taller team, but I can't say enough about their execution at the net. Just great timing. They're forming the block perfectly. They're penetrating the net. Their hands are well positioned.
Jennifer Donley's chance to serve. Wong looking behind her to try to find Pelosi. Wong again, this time forces it over on the second hit. Now Worthen setting far side for Harrington. And Harrington for a kill as Field went scrambling.
Yeah, that play is not going to work. Exeter-West Greenwich is sitting on that. They just have a player camped out right short in the middle waiting for that ball to come over.
Donley sends it over. And Worthen for the kill. It just looks easy. It looks easy.
Yeah, they're rolling now. East Greenwich calling their second and last time out here.
20-9 in the third set. This contest has been all Exeter-West Greenwich. The only time that East Greenwich has really been in it was probably midway through the opening set where they came from behind, ended up with maybe a 3 or 4 point lead at one point, but ended up giving up the set at the end of the set one.
Yeah, that was back and forth there for a while, but overall, you just don't see the confidence in the body language from East Greenwich. They're not playing with much swagger at all. And then on the other side of the coin, you have Exeter, who seems very confident out there. Not just a couple of players, but all the players.
Well, assuming that Exeter-West Greenwich hangs on for the victory, you have to think that a dominating win like this would certainly build that momentum and character and attitude heading into this final week leading up to Saturday, a couple of days from now, as they will play either Tolman or Cranston West. And we're expecting big things out of you when we talk about Tolman, seeing how you're the boys coach. Hopefully you've got some great knowledge and insight that you could provide with that girls program. But right now the story, Exeter-West Greenwich and East Greenwich on the floor. And Jennifer Donnelly, who has been a force along with Harrington along the front row, will have the serve. 5 points away from victory. Field plays it for Wong. Wong looking for Pelosi, but goes far side, and it's played at the net by Worthen, and East Greenwich is scrambling.
You know, Exeter has been improving all season, and they've really hit their stride. They started the season winning 5 of their first 8 matches, which sounds good, but by Exeter standards, that's a mediocre start. Since then, they won 10 matches in a row. They crushed their opponent in the quarterfinals, that being Narragansett.
Harrington sends it over, and it's played by Farnham. She'll put the attack on as Harrington sends that one long. We haven't seen a tremendous amount of mistakes out of Harrington, but her attacks have missed from time to time.
Yeah, for the most part, they've kept the ball in play, and they've done a good job of finding the corners.
Wong on the serve, and that goes long. 22-10. Exeter-West Greenwich puts this one in the hands of Abby Green.
So tough to come back from a big deficit and rally score. You've got to serve aggressive. You can't be too conservative, but you also can't make unforced errors.
Hellisted bumps it up for Harrington. Over the top, it's tip diving dig that time by Wong, and it's hit long by Julia Pelosi, but a beautiful attempt. You have to give Wong the credit for that one, a diving dig to keep the ball in play.
Yeah, she stretched all out. That ball was just inches away from the floor. Great play by Wong.
23-10, make it 24 on the Aces field. Can't handle it.
Well, we had some confusion there on the East Greenwich sideline. They thought they had called for a sub. The players were looking for a player to come in on the substitution, but the ball was whistled for the serve.
That time, Perry's serve goes long. Green, rather. Now Green with the bump, back row, Downley. Up ahead, Hellisted forced to play it over. Now for Wiggins. Wiggins plays it off the net, and Wong to Farnham. Put up by Hellisted. Well out of play is Worthen, but she keeps it alive. Over to Wong. Now near sideline, Duval. Kept up by Donnelly. Far sideline, Orwitz. Puts it over the top. Wiggins now with the dig. Duval taps it over. And it's misplayed by Hellisted into the net, and it keeps Exeter-West Greenwich from picking up that final point. Keeps East Greenwich alive.
Yeah, all you can do with these, if you're East Greenwich, is not even think about the score here.
Boy, that one was close. It'll be an ace, though, by Julia Pelosi. 24-13, no room for error right now if you're East Greenwich. Harrington taps it over. It's brought up by Wiggins, pushed over by Wong. Hellisted now for Harrington, a firing attack, no good. Farnham bumps it over the top for a kill. Another back row attack.
Yeah, Coach Bernarczyk not happy with how his team is finishing here. He does not want to have to call a timeout. He'd like to see his team win it on their own.
Worthen bumps it over the top. Wong able to keep East Greenwich in this one. Hellisted for Harrington, the attack, and it's good for a kill. And in 3 sets, 25-14, Exeter-West Greenwich is going to the championship game.
Well, there you see them finishing in on a kill to the right side of the court, and they just too much offense, too strong a block for East Greenwich this evening. East Greenwich had a great season, finishing tied for first, a 3-way tie for first with Cranston West and Exeter. But on this night, Exeter was clearly the better team.
Well, this one in the record books, it only took an hour and 5 minutes for Exeter-West Greenwich to place their stake on a championship berth. They will go to the title game to compete for the Rhode Island Interscholastic League Girls Volleyball Division II Championship, winning it 3-0 in 3 sets. Here's how the scores broke down: 25-22 in the opening set, 25-15 in set number 2, and 25-14 in the third and final set. So that's the story. Exeter-West Greenwich headed to the championship. They'll take on Tolman or Cranston-West. For Neil Nachbar, I'm Joe Koss. You've been watching and listening to the Rhode Island Interscholastic League Network.